Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. The case that I'm going to be looking into today is a case known as the Duchess of Norfolk. There's another name for her as well actually. I can't remember what that was because yeah, my brain didn't work too much. This case was suggested by CD, so thank you for that. I appreciate any suggestions you guys have, and of course if you have any more please do let me know. It is thought that the woman who was found more than 40 years ago, and her identity is still unknown, was a sort of sex worker known as the Duchess, who was originally from Denmark but lived and worked around the docks in Great Yarmouth. Now she'd set up a temporary home and a builder's hut on this Yarmouth dockside, and she had a washing line up and everything like that. She would be mainly sort of living off a diet of fish. This is who everyone thinks she is, basically. She really became well known to lorry drivers and dock workers, and then she suddenly disappeared in 1974. And now we come to August of 1974 in Swaffham near England, which is in obviously Norfolk, how the name came about most likely. And a tractor operator called Andrew Head comes across a very grim discovery. He finds the remains of a woman. The woman has been decapitated and had been wrapped in plastic. The plastic had a logo on it which was for the national cash registers, but the model of the payroll machine that actually came from, they had been mass produced and there was like thousands of them, so the police couldn't actually look into any of that. Obviously, this triggered this massive police investigation, but sadly, still to this day, we don't actually know who this woman is. She's still a Jane Doe. She had a Marks & Spencer's nightdress on, and she was bound with a specific type of rope. Again, the police really did look into those avenues because they didn't really have anything else to go on, so they really focused on those, looked into those, and sadly, those didn't lead anywhere either. And the rope was like a unique kind of rope. So normally I believe ropes are made of like three or five strands, and this one was made of 4, which was unusual. So you're hoping that obviously with it being so like unusual and specific, that maybe they could trace that down and track where this came from and get something from that. Because of this composition, it was suggested that it was possibly used in sort of agricultural machinery. They did manage to trace who manufactured this rope. I believe the company that actually produced it had been closed down for quite a long time at that point, so they just got nothing. And I went into this case saying that, you know, I'm doing the Norfolk Duchess, which we still don't actually know. It's one of the main theories as to who this woman was, and again, we don't even know who the Duchess was anyway. But she was a well-known lady who disappeared in 1974. She was a sex worker, and she basically left without taking anything with her. She left everything behind. The sad thing is that no one could actually recall her real name. She never had any documents on her, or if she did, they'd long since gone in the time that she'd gone missing after that kind of thing. And her body would eventually be laid to rest, minus her head, because that was never found, in a grave which was basically unmarked without her name because we just didn't know it at the time. In 2008, her body was exhumed again. This was for DNA testing. Obviously, at the time that she was found, DNA testing was, you know, nothing like it is nowadays and nothing like it was in 2008. So they decided that they were going to bring up her body and do like this massive DNA profile to try and find who she was, which they did manage to do. They did manage to get a really good DNA profile of this woman, but I believe, you know, they never got a match, and to this day still have not got a match. So obviously with those, hopefully they may one day put it into the genome database, or if it's already in there, one day one of her descendants might put their own DNA in and we will finally find out who this woman is. Hopefully, anyway. So they took all these samples as well, and in 2009 they sent these to a professor for something called isotope analysis. Now that can actually uncover things like the sort of geological location of where the person may have been, the diet, what their diet consisted of, and so that gives you sort of more of an idea of where this person could have lived. And it was used successfully on another case. They found this dismembered body in a river, I believe, and they'd used this technique on that body, and they managed to find out the identity of them from that, which is amazing. Not only did it reveal this gentleman's identity, it also revealed his killers, a duo known as the Scissor Sisters. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of them. And they were then done for the crime, thank goodness. She was thought to have been between 23 and 35 years old, with the span of 12 years. And her body was very badly decomposed, which made it really difficult to identify her anyway. Also, obviously, her head was missing, so it was just like every odds were stacked against her. They couldn't check her dental records because there was no teeth or anything like that. But they were able to find out that she was 5 foot to 5'2", and her hands and legs had been bound to her body. She was wearing a Marks and Spencer's pink nightdress, 1969. They were able to determine that the woman had consumed water that can be found in Scotland, and that crabs and fish made up a large portion of her diet. They also found that the woman's pelvic girdle had widened, which is a strong indicator that she had at least given birth once. So, you know, she may have a family member out there and who was looking for her and had no idea what happened to their mother. In total, the police spoke to 15,000 people and took 700 statements. They even completed almost 7,000 house-to-house questionnaires, but they still didn't have any answers as to who this woman was. And the case quickly went cold. So if this woman was the Duchess of Norfolk, you know, leaving behind all of her things maybe indicates that she didn't leave of her own accord. And if she was a sex worker, maybe her murder was a result of a disgruntled client who wasn't happy with her. Maybe she refused to do something, and so they exacted their revenge, very harsh revenge, especially removing of her head. But obviously that can try and make it so that this person is never identified, and so far it's worked. Like, we still have no idea who she is. The fact that she was in her nightdress sort of gives people the idea that she may have been comfortable with the person that she was with. Maybe it wasn't even a customer or something like that, saying that she was a sex worker. This is under the assumption that she was. Maybe it was her partner or a significant other. She was very comfortable with this person, and then they killed her. And obviously, that's the first people that police look at as well. But they didn't know who this woman was, and they're not able to look at the partner or anything, which could be another reason as to why they dismembered her head. Because if somebody knew who she was, they might say, oh yeah, Joe Bloggs is her partner, and they might have actually done this. So just all these sort of little things in the case have proved really difficult over the years. They've put a massive hindrance on finding out who she is. Of course they have. I truly hope that one day one of her family members puts their DNA into the system, like trying to find out what happened to, say, their mother or the long-lost family member who they just vanished off the face of the earth and they don't know what happened to her. And then maybe we'll get a match, because we do have a full DNA profile of this woman. We just still don't know who she was. So that is honestly the hope one day, and then her family can finally find out what happened to her and she can finally get her name back, because just it's so heartbreaking that what happened to her in the first place, and then not even knowing who she was, not even having a name. It's just really, really sad. But yeah, that's the end of the case. If you guys have enjoyed this video, give me a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for similar content. Anyway, that's all I have today on the case of the Cockney Clay Jane Doe. That was the other name that she is known by, or the Norfolk Duchess. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, bye!